Hello again, good folks, it's Hellcat here. This time it's a little tips and tricks video. Recently I was building some scenarios, and I wanted the players to come racing in to rescue a trapped friendly unit who were under a heavy pummeling. The problem with that is that if you've got to come a distance or you've got several objectives, this all starts off when the server does. By the time you get there, there's a pile of dead bodies and probably the odd few who survive wandering around aimlessly. One fix for that is set your friendly units to invulnerable, and then you'll have a pile of dead enemy. By the time you get there, they'll have the feet up going, "Don't need you, mate. Yeah, sorry." So, how to preserve the scene? Well, again, went back to YouTube University, had a good look around, and came up with this solution. Basically, all we're going to use is a couple of show hide modules. Very simple. So, here we've got the units, we've got the friendly, the obligatory test civilian. Hopefully you don't get killed. What we need to do is go Systems, Object Modifiers, Show Hide. We'll put down one, we'll need a second, put down 2. Now by default they set to hide, so if you go into the attributes you'll see here groups of synchronized objects and hide units. Fine. That one we want to do the opposite, we want to show, so we set that to show, and there we go. So first thing you do is you link the hide module to the team leader or section leader of each of the units, and there, and a third one, which is the recon team leader. Okay, so basically when the mission starts, that will hide all the objects and nothing will happen. Now there is another use for this. It does help. You can use it to help server performance by not bringing objects or units onto the map until absolutely necessary, but we'll have a look at that later. So there we go. If I went in now, which I will do, you'll see that we'll get the right one. We'll see that there's absolutely nothing there, which there shouldn't be because they're all hidden. So just wait for that to load up. And he's got his sunglasses on, it looks weird colour, never mind. And as you see, there's nothing there, there's no enemy units, there's nothing happening. Okay, fine, fair dues. Good. Go back to the editor. Okay, so now what we want to do is make it so that when an event occurs, i.e. the player steps into a certain area, this all plays out. So what we need to do this is, now we've got the show hide, second one to show, and we repeat the process, and we sync it to section leaders again, and the other enemy unit, and the recon team leader. Right, so basically if the server started like this, the results would be unpredictable because one says show, one says hide. So what we need to do is make sure that the show one doesn't occur until we trigger it, which is a good segue into triggers. So I'm going to select a trigger, and I'm going to put it down about here. I'm going to, for this you would normally set it blue for, but I'm going to set it any player, me. That's okay, and then what you need to do is sync that trigger when my mouse responds to the show module. So theoretically, as soon as I step in there, everything will kick into life. So quick test. Play as the character. Okay. So we just sneak up there. No. No enemy, no friendlies. So we walk in the trigger, and then they magically appear. And after a while, they'll work out. Here we go. Good lads. So, as soon as you walk into the trigger area, that kicks off, which is perfect. And if you do set your trigger at the appropriate distance, I mean, we've got it here for the civilian. In reality, what we'd do is we'd move it somewhere else where the players are going to come. Let me just get rid of that. And somewhere around here would probably do. And we'll make it wide enough just in case we've got some off-road drivers. So now the scenario runs as such. After they've done all their objectives at the other side of the map, they come up this road, they report into this command unit. The command unit says, help. Some of our boys are trapped down the road at grid reference whatever. Could you be good chaps and go and save them? So the players dutifully do. They get in their wagons, they drive down, and as soon as they cross that trigger, all this kicks into life, and if you've got sufficient time, it will develop out, but not to the extent that everybody's killed. So that's the first way of using it. The second way is actually to save server performance. If you've got multiple objectives and you've got a lot of AI and objects, well, obviously the server has to handle that. Well, a good way is to do the same technique over the objectives themselves, and that's basically hide everything until a point they're needed. So if I expand out the map, not going to set it up, but here you see there's 3 trigger points, and basically the players would start first objective, clear this town, and then this, and then the third one, and then they'd go up, get their orders, go save the goodies. Right, now I'll say this is not set up, but basically this is a trigger used in a wide area. So you would have all your enemy AI around here. You'd have your 2 show hide modules linked to this trigger, so that when the players they come up, they get, in this case, within 500 meters. You could make it bigger, and then that'll trigger. It'll spawn in all the AI. They'll start going about the biz, and by the time the players arrive, it'll be ready to rock. Meanwhile, the server isn't having to handle this one, or this one, or this one. It's only having to concentrate on the one that's just been triggered. And as Zeus normally follows up after an objective and clears the dead bodies, it means that pretty much the entire mission, the server is doing nothing except handling the players and their movement, which should help server performance quite a lot. That's 2 examples of using it. You could use it with more complicated scenarios, as I did for one I was doing, but it's very basic. You can trigger a scenario so it doesn't overrun by the time you get there, and you can use it to help server performance. So I hope that helps, and we'll see what the next one is when it springs to mind. We'll catch you all later. Bye bye.